Ahoy there, and welcome to Sweet Child of Time. We're doing 1899, Episode 4, The Fight. I'm here with my co-host. He's Nate. Ahoy there, Nate.
Ahoy, Steve.
Thank you, Captain. Now, you know that I'm the captain of the ship here, and I call you my first mate. I don't want to see any mutiny happen in this episode, okay? I need you to keep straight. I saw what happened with the Sauce Boss. I don't want the same thing happening with you here, okay, Nate?
I think we'll be all right.
Okay, good. You know who the captain is.
Right.
Yeah. You doing okay, Nate?
Peachy keen. How about yourself?
Pretty good. I'm enjoying the hell out of the show, as usual. And I got spoiled by something. It wasn't a big deal. It was just basically just an image that didn't really have any kind of pertaining to anybody. I won't tell you what it is, but what happened was, and I warn you not to do this, is I saw what looked like a clean, little meme to look at, because it was just like a couple of the cast members hanging out like in their regular clothes with their regular hair and stuff like that. And then one of them started talking about a scene. And this particular character was doing a particular thing, and I guess that's all I can say. And I saw that, and he was talking in depth about this particular scene and like how it felt doing that. So I got trapped into seeing an image of this. And like I said, when we get to it, I don't know when it's going to come up, but when we get to it, I'll say that's what I saw. It doesn't have anything to do with the plot, but it happens. Like, it's really easy to trip into a spoiler with this show. Have you tripped into any spoilers yet?
No, because I avoid my roommates. And it's, well, just for that reason, not like I avoid them in general. That sounded really rude.
Yep.
That was my fault. No, because I don't really have like a lot of 1899 stuff on any of my social media feeds or anything like that. So that's a plus 1 point for me, and we're going to take one away from you for spoiling stuff for yourself.
Okay, that's fair. I think it's a plus 1 for me and minus 1 for you for not going to these 1899 sites and promoting the heck out of our show. But that's okay. Nobody wants an annoying dude promoting a show anyway, so I understand how that is.
All right, I think we're even then.
Yeah, we are. We're not going to fight, because that's what this episode is about. Fight, fight, fight. I'm very excited to get to the fight. But first, we're going to start with our boys, Lucian and Jerome. These dudes were buddies back in the day. They were war friends. I didn't know this. They're in the desert, and we see they're dragging a dead lieutenant. I took a stab at where this might be. You're a pretty good history guy. Do you know which war this might be that they're... Because I have a couple of guesses. Do you know?
That's really unfortunate because I was going to ask you.
Okay. Well, good. I got some answers. It could be the Algerian War, which took place in a bunch of different sections between 1830 and 1903. It's a possibility. It could be the Cretan Revolt, which was fought at the exact same time frame. It could be the Madagascar Expedition, which I think is like the best possibility because the time frame lines up best with that. Or it could be the Boxer Rebellion. Really have no clue whatsoever, but it's going to be one of those 4 wars. When I looked up the history of France and their participation in wars, those dudes are a bunch of warmongering dudes. They're like always at war, 24/7 it seems, against somebody or another. So it was hard to pinpoint exactly. But these are the 4 wars that I saw that were fought in a kind of deserty climate. So it could be any of these. But our boys, they're tired. They have been refused. They haven't been refused, but they haven't gotten any supplies in quite some time. And Lucian's plan is to take this dead lieutenant's clothes, impersonate the lieutenant, and Jerome will be the hero that, brought the lieutenant to safety. Jerome doesn't like this plan too much, though. He says they should wait for supplies. He's a company man. So, that's what Jerome says. He also says, come back to reality, my friend, which, of course, this show, we're not sure how much reality we're dealing with. And I thought that was a very interesting line that he told him to come back to reality. I don't trust any reality in this show whatsoever, especially after this episode. Lucian feigns sorrow and then cold cocks the dude. And that's what happens. We hear that mutiny music, that clicking mutiny music in like Lucian's head as he decides to do this, and then he does it. And yeah, Jerome's down. Then we see those pyramids. You must have noticed like the anytime anybody wakes up, it's like that pyramid kind of structure that forms in their eye. Mm-hmm. I think that's cool. But at any rate, he gets those pyramidy eyes, and it's Mora again. Mora once again telling people to wake up. He wakes up angry. You ever wake up like Jerome just woke up?
Oh, man. Pretty much every Monday through Friday.
Especially at 2:30 in the morning when you got to get up.
That's right.
You're kicking Oleg out of your way. Yeah.
I was going to say Oleg, poor guy. He's really getting the shit end of the stick in this show so far.
Yeah, he is. And yeah, right here, getting kicked by his buddy. It was just an accident, though. Jerome didn't mean it. He was just flipping out. But yeah, we got the four dudes here. Ramiro, Ike, Jerome, last dude. Who did we say? Oleg, of course. So yeah, Franz and his mutiny boys come in. He pulls Oleg and Jerome out to be workers to dump the bodies overboard. And they don't want to touch them because they're afraid they might be diseased or something. So get these two dudes to do it, the superheroes, because they are a team. Franz knows they're a team, so he put them together again. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
Sauce Boss is cool. He knows to keep the boys together. They'll keep each other in check, right?
Yeah, did you realize Sauce Boss's face is still dirty?
Yes, of course I did. And yeah, now Oleg has a dirty face too, so maybe that'll keep up for a while.
He's always dirty though.
Well, now he's bloody and dirty though. At the end of this episode, he's got a lot of blood in his face too, so it might stick around for a while. Because they don't like to wash between episodes for whatever reason.
No.
But yeah, I think it's pretty disrespectful to dump the bodies overboard the way they're doing. Like this, what do you call it? This Osama bin Laden, like when they dumped him overboard. Do you remember that whole ordeal? It's kind of a weird choice, but at the same time, I understand it. Because they're thinking if they're diseased, they don't want to catch this disease. I'm thinking quarantine the bodies perhaps somewhere and, notify the families when you get to America. That'd be a nice thing to do, Franz. That would make up for some of the mutiny perhaps, but he's just going to show up with a bunch of bodies short and have to explain that they dumped them overboard. Ugh. I didn't like that. But okay, so we leave with that and we go right to our intro. And I spent this time trying to look for clues in the intro segment. Don't know why, I just thought it might be fun. And I didn't come up with much, but I did come up with two things. I'm still taken by the fact that we see like a vertical slash of water, and then the boat comes through that vertical slash of water, and it seems to be like floating in midair. I think that's a striking image that is kind of making sense to me the more and more we go on here. And then the other image I looked for was the one shot of Mora getting drugged in her neck. I think it's a good reminder that this could all be drug-induced somehow, or this could all be Mora's psychosis, perhaps. I just kind of picked out those two images of the ones that struck me the most, that kind of make the most sense with what's happening now.
It's all just a big LSD trip.
In a cool tune, too. Let's see, at this point, after the intro there, we go right to the mutineers. They're forcing people into their cabins. And Mora says something along the lines to the boy of, they won't hurt you. They just want to turn the ship around. I don't think the boy bought that.
No.
he doesn't have a lot of expression, but I could kind of tell by the slight expression on his face. He was like, you're wrong, Mora.
It really bothers me that he hasn't spoken a word yet.
Yes, same here. I was really thinking that, well, getting ahead of myself, the end of this episode, that would have been the perfect time for him to say something. But it didn't happen, so who knows when it, or if it ever will happen. She leaves at this point. She's like watching the dudes out in the hallway. We don't know why she's leaving at this point, but she's going to try to find Ike. But that's the reason that she left the boy in the room, which I thought was a pretty poor move on her part.
I agree. Not very motherly of her. Because at this point, I feel like we're supposed to just, in a way, assume that she's taken a motherly role.
Yes, I would definitely say so. A protector, if anything.
Yes.
So our next scene, we're back up on the bridge, and we get some information from Neville Longbottom here. The Prometheus is gone. They can't find it. And, Franz is like, where is she? Where is she? At first, I thought he was talking about Mora. He was asking where she is. He was asking about the Prometheus. They're just amazed that it's gone. Also amazed that their compasses now work. Also amazed that they're back on course where they originally were when they made that turn, which all sounds like pretty good news, right?
I would think so.
It doesn't seem like they're really thrilled by this news, but I mean, it sounds all good. Like, hey, we just made up some time. We're facing the right direction. Franz, Sauce Boss, full power to the west, which, I can't blame him. Get there as fast as you can, buddy. I mean, not that I agree with some of his motives, but I do agree with let's just get these people to New York. I'm with him there.
Yes.
The people
definitely.
Yeah. People down in third class are questioning Sebastian at this point because he, at this point of the show, is down there with them. He tells them about the sink ship message. And I know how to say sink ship in German now. Ship sinka. That's what he said.
That's more German than I know.
Yeah. Now you know how to say ship sinka. That's sink ship, apparently, in German. So he tells them about this message, and he also kind of plants the seed in their heads at this point that he suspects it was the boy that is the main cause of this. The boy is the one who's causing all the deaths there and now here too. And as Tove is listening to this, she's supposed to be the translator. She doesn't like this assessment about the boy. So she, as a translator, kind of clams up and doesn't want to spread that information to everybody else. Crester is quick to the punch, though, to let everybody know it's the boy. We need the boy. It seems like they need like a nice, a central figure that they can all unify on, that they can like agree about to make some sort of decision. It's like they're grasping at anything here. So why not the boy? He's a weirdo. There's a lot of mystery. They say that the devil, this is weird though. This is the mom of the bunch. She says the devil wears a dress. And the devil is not going to get his way. So that's kind of a little backwards with the gender there, but I noted it because it stuck out to me. So we got people switching sides here. Tove and Crester, like just with this little piece of information, it seems like the two of them like divided in a way and switched up. Because at first, remember, Tove was in charge of the mutiny and she was all gung-ho. As soon as they started going after the boy, she immediately backed down.
It's that budding motherly instinct.
Yeah, it makes totally sense. And I'm pretty sure that if I existed on this boat in 1899, I would probably be on Tove's side there too. I would never think it's a good idea to kill a person to sacrifice the rest of us. I think that would be a really rash, weird decision, especially if you don't even know if that's going to pan out. You're just like, well, maybe we'll just go ahead and kill this guy and the rest of us will be saved. That doesn't sound like a good plan to me.
That's fair, but I mean, it's it also makes sense. I mean, from the most basic level, because it's the least common. Is it the least common denominator? Is that how you say it?
I think he is the most common denominator to all these things.
The most common denominator, then. He's really like the only thing that's changed since going to the Prometheus. So I can kind of see where they would just want to get rid of him. I mean, he's a child, so I know that we have that stigma of don't kill a kid, but if he was a 40-year-old man or a 40-year-old woman, I don't think that it would be necessarily that hard of a decision.
Like a 40-year-old man such as Daniel, perhaps. Because Daniel is another, he's in the exact same position as the boy, except for people just don't realize it. They don't realize that he came from that boat too. Right.
Wet Man.
Well, I'm sorry, Wet Man is his common name that we know him by.
Yes, please.
So this group is the Zombie Boy Killers. They want to go out there, and Sebastian founded this group, and he's joining in with them now. So Sebastian is kind of switching sides here too. I've already iterated that Tove does not want to be part of that side. It's clear. We get a quick shot of Ike and Ramiro in the brig getting Ike unchained. Ramiro at first looks like he's just going to kind of tap at that thing and not really be much help, but he does a mighty heave and gets Ike out of there. Good job. Well, gets him out of the cuffs anyway, or out of the pipe. I was afraid that some either water or some poop was going to come out of that pipe when they did that.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for a whole other issue to start, but
or steam. I mean, those pipes are carrying something. They're not just empty pipes for no reason. I take that back. They have they have a lot of stuff on the boat they're not sure about. So this pipe is the least of our worries.
Very true.
But we just get a quick shot of those guys just to let us know what they're up to. But then the other two of that crew, Oleg and Jerome, they're up on the body pile up top. For whatever reason, I mean, of course, they're not liking doing this at all. But the first choice, the first corpse they grab is of Ada, the young girl. That's the first one they throw overboard. And I think that is not a good idea. You want to pick up the biggest corpse first, heave that over, and then get the next biggest corpse, heave that over, and work your way down so that you're going to be tired after all this crap, so that when you get to the kids at the very end, it's like a treat. It's you can do it with no problem. I worked smarter, not harder.
I can appreciate that. But she was dead first, which... Oh. Look, little side note for everybody. I absolutely despise looking at corpses in movies because as someone that went to mortuary school, these are not what corpses look like. And watching Ada rest peacefully on top of a pile of bodies and not seeing her all purple and green and twisted. Well, she wouldn't probably be green yet, but they just didn't do her. They just didn't do they're so realistic with so many things. Mm-hmm. And it's just, they never pay attention to the corpses. So that's my tangent.
I don't know if you heard when Heather joined the podcast and we were talking about the same little girl, Ada, when she was supposed to be laying dead there on the deck when the sauce boss Franz discovers her. I couldn't tell if she was dead or not because it looked like she was just laying and staring up at the stars because she had a fixed gaze. I think they did a very bad job. I think it was Heather that pointed out they did a bad job of directing that girl.
Unless it was on purpose.
You never know. Jerome starts giving a mean face. He's looking over to the guys that are holding him captive, and he's all giving them the mad face. But then he sees a corpse that looks a little bit more like a corpse. It's the corpse somehow of that lieutenant and the corpse opens his eyes. That sucked. I didn't like that. It was good. It was effective. It scared me, and that's why it sucked. It was a very good, well-directed scene. Jerome panicked, and he is pretty good at panicking, too.
Yeah. I feel like that's all he does.
After that scene, Jerome does his panic, and I think Oleg is kind of helping him out, getting him calmed down. Just like Oleg calmed down Ling Yi earlier. He's a nice guy to be around, Oleg. I'd work with him for sure.
Which, side note, we didn't see her at all.
Oh, we did. Their room got ransacked. Just checked out to make sure that the boy wasn't in there. So we did see them, briefly.
All right, that's fair.
They were in there just enough so that, like, when you look at their IMDb, it'll show that they were in all 8 episodes. They do that sometimes for actors. Just give them, like, a real slight... You see them for 5 seconds just to make sure they can be part of that episode and get that paycheck. I support that. But we're going to go down to Lucian and Clemence's cabin now. There's some tension here with this honeymooning couple, this young loving couple from Paris. Clemence is questioning him because he was out last night. There's this weird vial that she found. So, you know, she's not questioning him like in a mean, derogatory way. She's just looking for answers. She's really patient. And he's being a real dick. I mean, I don't know if that's cursing or not. I might bleep that, but yeah, he's being a total dick here. There's mutiny happening, and he's like being tight-lipped with her. And no matter how bad your relationship is, or no matter how much of an enemy you are with somebody, if there's something like that happening on a ship, you kind of snap out of it and get into survivor mode. And Lucian is just too wrapped up to do that, I guess. So the vial, we find out, potassium bromide, and it's for his epilepsy. We've already figured that out. He tells her that, you know, once you have everything, life smacks you in the face. He's being all pouty. But we kind of see why he's not having success with some sex, because it's the potassium bromide that's causing impotence. And he says he has weeks left to live. I don't know if he's exaggerating about that or if he's just being a hypochondriac, but epilepsy doesn't cause early death. I think even back then it didn't cause early death, did it?
No, not as far as I know. I mean, you die from complications of the seizure itself, which is caused by the epilepsy, but the seizure is ultimately what gets written on your death certificate, complications of seizure. So, I mean, if someone's going to watch him and roll him on his side,
right,
give him his medicine, he should, unless the medicine is what's killing him. I don't know.
I don't either.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. I think that was the old school way of dealing with epilepsy, is put like a piece of wood in their mouth so they wouldn't swallow their tongue. And yeah, if nobody's there to do that, and there's no like Ling Yi there to kneel next to you and help you out, yeah, I guess you're kind of screwed. And he hid this from Clemence. I'm not sure that she is playing a game or not. Like episode 1, she was making all these facial expressions and just the way just her vibe. I was thinking that she was trying to game him for some reason, but I don't think so anymore. Her vibe is very concerned. Her vibe is very, let's help each other out just because we're together. Like, why the hell not? Seems like, I know she's kind of a suspect because she seems like there's nothing to suspect. So it seems like she could be a likely one, and those triangle earrings are a clue. But I've changed my mind about her.
I definitely get the vibe from her that she is just kind of playing dumb. And it makes me think that maybe Lucian has a bigger part to play in it than everything, and she's just watching him to see when she can unfold whatever plan she has. But also, maybe she's just the other half of a terrible marriage. Who knows?
Likely. Well, yeah, Virginia kind of has that same like outlook too. Like whatever rolls, I'm going to roll with it and come out on top. So maybe Clemens is sensing that here too. I don't know. But yeah, he finds that star that, what's his name? Jerome brought to his room earlier. Freaks out, starts choking our girl. She is like, oh my God, that hurts. So as soon as she says that hurts, he immediately stops and apologizes and leaves. So I hated it when he started choking her. I liked it when as soon as she said stop, he stopped and apologized and removed himself. So he gets like maybe an 1/8 of a point at best.
Yeah. We'll give him the tiniest bit of credit.
He apologizes for every shitty thing he does. I don't know if you've noticed that. He apologized to the dead lieutenant. He apologized to Jerome, apologizes to Clements. But he still keeps doing these shitty things, though.
Yeah.
Apparently, Mara gets caught snooping around. We don't see her get caught, but we just learned through dialogue that she was caught snooping on her way to the captain's quarters. But hey, Sauce Boss, I'm the captain now. That's what he said to Mara. Do you remember when he said, is this joke getting old? When he said to Mara, look at me, I'm the captain now. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that joke.
I do too. That's why I keep going back to it, but I need to stop. It's a crutch. Franz has got everybody grounded. Stay in your cabins. Probably the best thing to do. I really hope he's going to be serving them meals and drinks in their cabins because he's locking them in there. I don't know if they have bathrooms or not. I don't know. Not a great plan. But I do like that Mara says, pretty sure it's Mara that says to him that you're a little boy toying with power. Oh, I liked it. And then we got MacGyver in the next scene. Ike MacGyver. He somehow manages to get his way out through this huge grate on the side of the wall. I love in TV and movies how there's giant grates that two people could easily get inside and walk around in. Or like the vents in my house are like, these standard 4-inch by 8-inch. I mean,
normal vents.
Yeah, Ike's not getting in that vent. But on the boat, they got these giant ones. So he's manages to get through there, which is pretty nice. Again, that's just another quick scene before we get to the real deal. Anchor. We're back down below, and Anchor is holding Ada's doll. He's definitely in a lot of pain. He says that God doesn't want to talk to him. He only wants to talk to her, being the blonde-haired wife. He kind of believes her, but Tove clearly does not. She's just not on board with this whole plan. And then Anchor touches her belly again. She gets her belly touched a lot. And just, people out there, it's not really that great to grab somebody's belly who's pregnant. Like, ask for permission first. Nobody does in this show. They just grab her belly and just start doing it. But he touches her belly again and says, it's the light inside of her. It's God's child. And this is part 1 of where Steve's theory comes from. I have a pretty interesting theory that I'll touch on later. But this is the first thing that caught my ear, was he said the light inside of her. And that it's God's child. God told the mom that the devil is going to come and take everything away. So they've been warned that something is going to happen, and it looks like something is happening now. So I want to talk a little bit about Anchor, but we're going to take a break before I do so. So Nate, we'll be back in just a minute, okay?
Alrighty.
And we're back with Sweet Child of Time, still talking about episode 4, The Fight. And I wanted to take a brief moment to let our listeners know that we'll be back on season 2 of 1899, but we don't know when that's going to be. In the meantime, Wheel of Time season 2 is starting up in Q1 of 2023, which means myself and James, the Marshland Monster, will be back doing our Wheel of Time recaps. So in the meantime, if you're still subscribed or followed to this channel, I invite you to watch Wheel of Time. and keep listening to me and James, we're going to be doing the same thing that me and Nate are doing, except with Wheel of Time instead. So if you have any interest in that, please join us. Otherwise, please join us back here when Season 2, 1899 starts up, and we'll be right here with you. Sweet Child of Time, 2023. All right, welcome back, Nate. Hello.
Hello.
Ahoy. What's up, man? Am I upsetting you?
No.
I wanted to make mention of this guy, Anchor, real quick. The actor who plays the individual also plays Tom Maryland in the Wheel of Time TV series. So it's kind of cool. We got a couple of tie-ins with our podcast and with these two TV shows. We got this guy, Anchor, very distraught individual in this show, 1899, super religious, very serious. He doesn't look anything like himself in the Wheel of Time. In the Wheel of Time, he plays a gleeman. He goes from village to village, playing songs at inns, entertaining children, juggling. He did a wonderful performance of an in-series song called "The Man Who Can't Forget," and it's in season 1, episode 2 of Wheel of Time, where a couple of our characters go to an inn, and there is our man playing this dirge, this minor key song, this beautiful, like, forlorn, just sad song. It sounds like a Chelsea Wolfe song or something. He's got the best voice. He plays guitar amazingly. Well, it doesn't play guitar amazingly, but he's really good at his style, at his particular style. So if you like Anchor, I think you're going to like Tom Maryland in the Wheel of Time. He's a completely different character. Let's get back into high gear here. We are with Sebastian. Sebastian is leading the zombie boy killers over to room 1011 because he knows that's where Mara has been keeping the guy. Weirdly enough, Mara arrives at the exact same time because she has, Sauce Boss is getting her back to her room just to keep her quiet. So we get a meetup here between Mara and the mom. I wish I remembered her name. I remember Anchor's name. I don't remember her name. I never wrote it down, but y'all know who I'm talking about. The crazy, crazy blonde-haired mom in this show. She's, for some reason, says search her, and Crester reluctantly searches her, gets the key off of her. They go inside. The boy is not there. Sebastian even checked under the bed. He looked. I saw him look. And there's no boy there, but the mom is not happy. She's like pointing the gun around like, where is he? Crester jumps in. It's like one of the good things Crester does in this episode. Crester pretty much sucks this whole episode. But at this moment, he's good because he's getting in front of Mara saying, hey, Mom, the boy's not here. Let's go look for him elsewhere. What are you doing? She fortunately listens to him and they go on. But she's on a total manhunt for that boy. She wants blood. When they leave, Sebastian is the last one out. And he and Mara kind of share a look, and he looks back at the bed, then looks back at Mara, and then leaves, which I thought was bizarre.
He knows.
Yeah, but why? But he wants the boy dead, so if he knows, then he knows. I mean, it's like, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't do that. Why'd he prolong it? Because he's absolutely looking for the boy. Any guesses? Because I don't.
Well, Sebastian is a company man, right?
Right.
Maybe he's getting some letters from the company we haven't seen yet, or we haven't picked up on.
Or maybe he's trying to keep those hatches a secret. Maybe he knows about those hatches, but he doesn't want to let on to everybody else that he knows about them.
True, because then the mutiny would be against him.
Yeah, absolutely. Which it could rightly be if they knew that he was such a company guy.
So, next tangent, real quick.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know, it also bothers me the absolutely terrible gun safety in this show.
Yes.
I'm seeing people I'm seeing people with their whole hands pretty much around the barrel of a gun, like wrapping their fingers up on it.
Oh, they'll burn their fingers up.
Yeah, that bothers me so bad watching them.
Well, you bring that up, and it's questionable to me too. Why there's so many dang guns on board? It seems like there's enough guns for everybody to have one.
Yeah, wait. Why didn't I even think of that? Where did they all come from? Why?
I don't know. The only thing I could think of is that maybe they keep the ship heavily armed just in case of like pirates or something, because it's like 1899. They don't have great security. So when they're out there on the ocean, they're pretty much all alone. So maybe they keep a stockpile of guns just for a emergency cavalry in case, because pirates existed back then. Pirates exist today. So that's a distinct possibility. Hopper agrees. Can you hear Hopper barking?
I sure can.
Let's get back on hand here.
All right.
They all just left, and Mara's in the room by herself, and she's having a little panic attack, and she has her self-soothing mechanism where she takes her necklace and she rubs her necklace, and that usually calms her down. As she's doing so, though, she hears some knocks, and it's the boy. He's got that little hatch. He does the little quiet thing again, like telling her to be quiet. He looks worried. He has a worried face because there's people with guns, so I don't blame him for being worried. Next, because we're moving on to the belly of the ship at this point. This scene is our comic relief mid-moment of the episode when my man is wearing a garlic necklace for protection, shoveling coal, has a hilarious conversation that he's seen pictures of werewolves, therefore they exist, and they can probably fly. And I really think that they're burying some facts in with the jokes with these guys, because when you see these guys, you kind of like take a breath and you're like, I don't have to think about the mutiny anymore. We're just going to have fun with this dude, because the dude is fun, no doubt. Yeah. I think there might be a little bit more to this. Werewolves and vampires, I would not be shocked if they came back. I like his comparison. Like, I've never seen Russia, but I believe in Russia. That kind of shut the other guy up.
Also, I think that statement right there is probably one of the most important statements of the whole show up to this point.
Okay, keep going.
Because the first thing that'll come to mind is you don't see the Prometheus anymore, but you knew it was there. You believed it was there, but now it's not there. When we discussed that in the very beginning of this episode, it's gone, but everyone knew it was there.
Okay.
So, and then that connects very well to the very ending of the episode, which we'll get to. I think that's probably one of the most important statements right now. Just as a baseline thing without trying to get super in depth with it.
That's what we're here for. I like it. I like it that he offers his buddy a necklace too. He's like, I can make you one too.
Yeah.
Daniel slips through at this point though. With his pea coat, he's trying to be a poser. He's trying to be like Ike with his jacket. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
It ain't working, Daniel. I'm sorry.
It's not the same.
Nah.
Wet man.
Well, one thing Wet Man's got above everybody else is he's got his machinery. He hacks into the mainframe here, like literally, and has his little device, plugs that sucker in, does some like steampunky stuff, and gets some valves set. He's definitely doing a thing, right? These are like objects. He has an object in his hand with physical wires, and he's making something physical happen with those things. It's required for him to go down to the steam room with his little doodad and plug it in. And the reason I'm stressing this so much is because everything else seems like it could be not reality. But this kind of grounds things into more of a semblance of objects, like actual objects. Like if he wasn't able to plug that thing into that thing, then there would be a disconnect somewhere. I don't know if that's like representative of like the spinal column or something, or if it's, I'm just trying to say that I strongly believe that this is like a purgatory situation, this whole ship. But that can't be the case if Daniel is actually plugging in physical objects to other physical objects. You follow me?
Yeah, but it makes me think of like a matrix theory, I guess. Mm-hmm. You can do all those things. You can do everything in the matrix, mm-hmm. but there's something outside of it. So everything in the matrix is tangible, and there are ways to connect to the outside from within. So it's real, but it's not real at the same time.
Okay.
I think so a super basic comparison could be something like a feature in a modern video game. So in the game, you have to solve a puzzle mm-hmm. or something like that. Mm. So your character in the game is solving the puzzle. And if you get the puzzle, let's say you get it incorrect in modern video games, there's a signal that goes to your controller and it'll vibrate or it'll make some kind of noise. So something from within that video game is transmitting a signal to something even bigger. Something like that.
Yeah, and just the fact that you're saying video game, and I'm thinking about that device in his hands, it looks kind of like a game in a way. Very steampunky, though. I really appreciate that. I'm sure those purists out there are loving this show.
Yes.
Man, okay. Damn. That gave me more to think about. Let's go back to Oleg and Jerome, though. Jerome is trying to plan an escape, and through their language barrier, they kind of get the gist of each other. Oleg plays along, not happy about it, but he does. Jerome does manage to get away. It's a kind of a shitty plan, but it kind of works in a way. Almost gets shot, but he doesn't yet. He's pursued by the armed guard and starts having a flashback. But it's interesting that the place he runs for shelter is Lucian and Clemence's room. He must know because he's been to that room before. That's where he goes, and he knocks on that door. So I don't know if he maybe is... I mean, to his mind, Lucian and Clemence are in that room. So I guess he was prepared out of desperation to run into Lucian there and be like, hey, I know you hate me, but shh, you know, be quiet for a second. Well, I guess it's the other way around. Jerome hates Lucian. Lucian's just trying to forget about Jerome. But I just wanted to mention that was very interesting. That's the room he chose. She lets him in. She, being Clemence, lets him in. And he gives her the quiet sign, just like the zombie boy did. So you thinking that maybe that Jerome and zombie boy are the same person because they both give the same quiet sign?
Jerome's not nearly as scary.
That's a very, very loose theory based on nothing, but that's what I thought about when I saw that. I thought about the little boy. Clemence kind of low-key wants them to stick around. She likes him. I mean, that vibe is impalpable or palpable or whatever you want to say. He says something along the lines of he's seen people take power who don't deserve it, and it never ends well. Is he talking about Lucian?
He's... I want to say no. I want to say it's probably just a, horrors of war kind of thing.
That's what I thought the first time I watched it. But like the second time I watched it, I started thinking, yeah, that's exactly what Lucian did. He was a low rank soldier, and then he took a power position, a lieutenant, and obviously he carried on that facade of being a lieutenant and faked his way into a marriage with a rich girl. So, whoa, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw light changing colors over there. I didn't know if you lost power by chance.
No, we're good.
All right. But yeah, I believe he's talking about Lucian. But they're on their way, or I should say, Jerome is determined to go free the captain and get things going right. Clements is immediately in. They have like this Marvel movie moment. It's like a team up. They're a team now. So Jerome's ditched Oleg for Clements for the moment. Just for the moment, though. I think they hook up. They, being him and Oleg, hook up later. But for right now, they're going to get the captain. First, though, we got Franz, the sauce boss, though. We're going to kick down to him questioning Oleg quite harshly. They have Oleg in the bridge, and he's, interrogating the guy. And Neville Longbottom looks pretty uncomfortable with this. You can tell that they're not thrilled with the way that Franz is handling all this. Sebastian comes in. He's on our side. There's a lot of side talking on this episode. But this is the first time that we hear the soldier tell us that, Sebastian's on our side. Whatever. The zombie boy killer side. But Sebastian kind of lays the reality down to the group and just lets Franz know exactly how bad he screwed up here by arming all these people from opposing countries with weapons on a ship for 5 days, and what a terrible idea that is. And I think you kind of see Franz's face, and he's kind of like, huh, I didn't think about that. And speaking of manhandling, we got a lot of manhandling. Lucian manhandled Clements. Franz manhandled Oleg. Well, I guess there's a lot more than just that. But Redbeard, in this next scene, the little Redbeard Danish dude manhandles Virginia. And she ain't liking it. She doesn't look scared. She looks like she's taking names and remembering. Like she's going to remember this red-haired guy. And I can already tell you, next episode, maybe episode after that, this guy's going to have an unfortunate accident.
She's peeved.
Yeah, nobody talks. Don't mess with Virginia, son. I mean, come on. But they're searching all the rooms, though. This is the scene very soon after this that we see them go into Ling Yi's room. And they're going into all the... We're checking in with all the heavy hitters here. I saw like a Muslim guy. He was like dressed in Muslim guard. He's Muslim garb. And he's part of like the zombie boy killers. And he kicks in a door like with just one kick. Like everybody else is like having to do like 2 or 3. But this one side guy, we don't even know his name. He's just wearing like a really interesting headgear. I just love the way he kicked that door in. And I don't know. Good job, buddy. I don't know. I don't even know why I said that. It's the most boring part. Yeah. They get to Angel's room. And, Angel's compliant until some dude tries to steal his watch. And Angel immediately is like, hey, no. You're not stealing my stuff. Crester. He calls Crester by name and asks for Crester's help. Kind of sucks the air out of the room because Crester is exposed. He has to, own up to his mom. Like, how do you know this guy's name? Mom, I mean, as much as Crester sucks, Mom sucks worse for many reasons. But here is, she says the worst thing you can say to any kid is, I wish it was you that had died instead of Ada. That's some pretty...
it's pretty rough.
That's pretty rough stuff. He's going to remember that the rest of his life, I'm sure. Thanks, Mom. I drew a heart right there next to that statement. So, yeah, he's exposed. He takes a bit too long to be the tough guy here. He kind of does like a too long of a weird weepy stare before he decides to spit in Angel's face, which was stupid. He was just trying to send a message, I guess, both to his mom and to Angel. Like, to Angel, like, nothing else is going to happen between us. And to his mom, like, hey, look, Mom, I'm a tough guy. Love me, please. Mom's not convinced, though. Obviously. Don't even bother trying, Crester. I mean, it's no point. She's gone, buddy. All right, cut scene to Mara and Zombie Boy. They're trying to get out of the room to go do some exploring, and this is when he shows her his little Scrappy the Beetle trick. He lets it scurry under the door, and Mara keeps asking him questions. She's hoping he's going to talk too, just like you and me. We're hoping he's going to say something. She keeps asking him questions, and he keeps not answering them. Her questions are really for us, the audience. I guess that's apparent. If anybody's wondering why she keeps asking him questions, that's why. It's just to keep us, the audience, engaged. Because every time that little boy does something, it raises 2 more questions, it seems. The next scene, Franz, the sauce boss, discovers that the captain is missing, that he's escaped. In the very next scene, we see Ike's pops his head out the wall, does a little look around. That was hilarious. I mean, I don't know if they meant for that to be funny, but it was funny.
They're trying a little bit harder with the comedy this episode.
Yeah, well, yeah, you said that this episode, you didn't get as much out of this episode than the others, but I think maybe that's why they threw these comedy scenes in there. Because they could have put that scene with the garlic necklace, I think, into any episode. I think this was a good episode to throw it in. Because it kind of shows you the crew is still working while everybody else is either mutinies or...
They're all running around. Yeah.
Well, he pops his head out the wall. He's with Ramiro, of course. And they quickly meet up with Jerome and Clements. And again, we get the sides here. We're on your side. We're the zombie boy lovers. That's who these guys are. We got Ike, Ramiro, Oleg, Jerome, Tove, Clements Clements definitely, and Mara. These are the zombie boy lovers right now. So they free Ike from his handcuffs. Ramiro, you're good at what you do, Ramiro, but you really made me nervous with those wieldy hits with the hammer. He could have easily hit Ike's knuckles or his wrist or something with that hammer.
Yeah.
But he did each of those blows with one mighty swing, but I think he could have used a little restraint there. But I think they're trying to show us this episode that Ramiro is tougher than we ever realized, because he always seems really meek and reluctant. Every scene up until now in episodes 1 through 3 has always kind of been, just a reluctant passenger, it seems. And we see that he can kick hard, and he can hit hard, and yeah, he's part of the good guys.
Well, remember, he killed a man.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, he's carrying that with him too. That's right. Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of that, because I didn't even think about that this whole episode. I was distracted by the mutiny. They have a pretty good plan though. They plan to go seek refuge on the Prometheus by rowboat, which is an excellent plan, except for the fact that it's not there anymore. There's no Prometheus to go to, guys. So, alrighty, yeah.
I was gonna say, how does everybody know everything so quickly on this ship, and then that fact almost feels overlooked?
What, that the
Prometheus is gone.
Well, yeah, none of them knew it though. None of that. Unless they were standing in the back of the ship, watching it be towed. And
another thing, the fog. Didn't the fog clear at the end of episode 3?
Yeah, when he hit that button, yes.
It is all back now in full force.
They're in a completely different place, though. So I don't know. Maybe
Well, I don't know. I feel like if he can clear the fog, then I kind of thought he would just keep it cleared.
Well, no, I think that the fog we're seeing right now is natural rainy fog, because it's really rainy. The fog we saw before was fake fog, because Neville was looking at the deck and he said the fog just came out of nowhere. It just appeared, and then he slowed the ship down. So I think that was fake fog, either brought on by Sebastian by pushing those buttons, or by Daniel by playing with his little slidey thing.
Gotcha.
Oh, wait, Daniel would be an excellent guy to come by and help you with that microphone. He could come and... I'm going to give him a call and see if he can come by and help you out with that.
All right. I'll make sure to have some towels down there before he gets here.
we're taking a break here, Nate.
All right.
We'll be right back, and we're not going to hang up this time. All right, back for that break with 1899. Our next scene here, we got our boy Lucian. He's returning to his room, and he sees that the door has been kicked in and that Clements is not there. He looks a little worried, but we find some information here. He's got a letter too. I don't know if this is the first time we realized that, but Lucian's got a letter in his drawers and a gun. So he packs that gun up, just like Chekhov's gun. I think we're going to see that gun later. I almost guarantee it.
I think so.
All right, next up we got Zombie Boy. He's back. He's making these like robot noises. I mean, it seems like those sound clues that are kind of robotic are attributed to him. It's not necessarily music in the background. So, I mean, I know he's not a robot, but there are some weird robot noises coming from him. Scrappy's leading them down the corridor there. He leads them to a room, and Crester sees them. And at first, it looks like Crester just kind of lets them go, but he went and narked on them. But first, Mara and Zombie Boy meet up with Ike and the gang at the lifeboats. They're getting ready to go try to... I mean, thank goodness they didn't do this. I mean, it would have been nice to be off the boat, but if they had gotten in that rowboat to sail over to the Prometheus and... well, it would have been a different story at the end there. But no, Franz and crew show up, and Crester lets us know, he's our mouthpiece here. He lets us know they just want the boy. The brave boy just steps up and goes right to him. Did that surprise you?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't really see him, freaking out or running or anything like that. But I guess I was a little surprised that he very calmly just went over, because was that episode 2? Like when Ike comes at him and then he freaks out and he whimpers a little bit and stuff like that.
That's right.
Kind of expected to see a little bit more of an emotion out of him, but he was like, nope, it's just a regular Tuesday.
Yeah. Big, strong boy. Like, we see him, like, walking down the hallway with them. He's, like, leading them. So that very much surprised me. I mean, I liked it. It was a neat surprise.
Yeah.
Well, then Jerome, though, our purveyor of justice, he doesn't like the looks of this. He doesn't like the way that this is going down. It's not right. I mean, I agree, of course. He goes for that hammer, gets shot by the sauce boss. And instead of dying, though, it's like he wakes up back in time. He's been cold cocked by Lucian. We're going to pick right up where we left off on the first scene of the show. Lucian is talking about how he can be somebody else now. He's going to be a lieutenant. And I'm sure that's probably how he scored Clements, with some lieutenant swag. I don't know.
Tomfoolery.
Yeah. He gives the medal to Jerome to trade in prison. I guess it's kind of like a back assward kind of like nice thing, like a consolation prize. Like, yeah, you're in jail. You're going to be like a war deserter now. You're going to be fucked. But here's a pedal. I mean, here's a pedal. There's a pedal on the ground right there. Here's a medal that you can maybe trade for some smokes while you're in jail.
He was trying to be nice.
Lucian needs to try a little bit harder to be nice in life. To Jerome, this is like a replaying of the past. So he's saying things like, why is this happening again? What is going on? And I'm wondering if that is an exact replica of the conversation they had at that time, or if this is like the new modern Jerome inserting lines into the conversation. I'd like to see we're not going to know one or the other, but just made me think about that. He grabs Lucian and is almost able to get some stuff going on, but Lucian hits him one more time, and he reawakens. I don't know. Realizes he's been shot. That hammer is still right there. Chekhov's hammer. Something's going to happen with that hammer too, I bet. All right, next scene, we got Tove, and she is in the hallway. She's getting passed by the boy and the crew, this whole little parade procession going by with the boy leading them. She grabs Crester at the end, and she's like, are you really going to sacrifice that boy? When she says, are you really going to sacrifice that boy? At that exact moment, he glances down at her stomach. And I found that significant. That also added credence to my theory, which I'll tell you about later. Crester says that she, Tove, is blaming them for what happened to her. We still don't know what happened, but he's trying to, I don't know, tough guy her here and be like, hey, you know, stand up for yourself. Not everything is about you. It's clear they're now on different sides. I mean, they're supposed to be, I guess, brother and sister, and it seems like they've always kind of confided in each other. Even like when they kind of argued, they were kind of a team, and that's faded at this point.
Yeah.
All right, here we got Jerome's hammer. Comes into play not too much later. He uses that hammer to smack some dudes around, and he busts the zombie boy lovers free. And we look around at this crew. We see our main people that we like. Everybody else in the background are like a bunch of dandies. They're all like the first class guys. They're all like wearing ties, and they're all like nice women and stuff. And I'm like, good luck with your fight. I didn't like the team I saw. I do think that I would be down there with them. Not because I'm rich, not because I'm first class, but just because I align more with the zombie boy lovers than the zombie boy killers. I'm sorry,
That's
but I
fair.
do. He's starting to grow on me a little bit. I hate to tell you, but he is starting to grow on me. But anyway, Clements and Jerome embrace. Jerome then gives like a great stump speech, this anti-mutiny speech, rallies the troops, works pretty good. So we're out in the rain again. We're going to switch scenes, and we're back to the zombie boy killers. Mom's out there giving her own like rally cry, trying to get the troops all riled up against the boy. Throw the boy overboard. Yay. Everybody cheers.
Yeah, everyone's for it.
I mean, way too into it. Then Mara shows up with the opposing team. I think they try to start saying a little something here, but it's not enough. The fight breaks out. And you were saying something earlier about how you weren't thrilled about their gun safety. I am thrilled they're not shooting each other. They're just using those guns as like, you know, like a blunt weapon. They're not shooting each other. And I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy that Franz didn't say, open fire. I mean, they could have done that. They didn't.
Very true. Very true.
Everybody's fighting in the rain. This reminds me of the scene in, I don't know why, but it took me back to the scene in Time Bandits when they're all fighting over the map. But Mom, the blonde-haired mom, the boy, and Mora all kind of lock eyes together. We go slow-mo here. This reminds me of like a Steve Barnes dream where everything's in slow motion and I can't get to where I need to get to in time. That's what happens here. Blonde-haired mom takes and tosses the boy overboard, and my stomach, Nate, sank when I saw this. Like, I got that feeling in my stomach, like that oh crap feeling. Like, I was thinking about what Ike was saying, how where we're at right now, it's 4,000 meters deep. And, you know, Zombie Boy is just calmly looking up at Mara, watching him fall. And it was a terrifying scene. Absolutely terrifying. Daniel quickly whisks Mara away from the fight. And Jerome and Clements are united again, embrace once more, just in time for our boy Lucian to show up. And yeah, they're busted. Like, Lucian whisks her away, and he's doing a little bit of damage control here. I don't like Lucian here, because what he's saying to Clements is, don't believe a word that guy says. You know, he's a liar. So he's trying to, like, skew Clements' opinion before she can form an opinion, because we all know what Jerome knows. So as soon as Jerome tells Clements that, Lucian's immediately going to say, oh, that guy's lying. Didn't I tell you he's a liar, Clements? Look at that big lie coming out of his mouth. I would never impersonate a lieutenant. I think that's how it's going to go down. Well, Ike calls for a retreat. So they all retreat back to the bar and galley. And we can see that Crester, like, both teams actually go back to their locker rooms to kind of reassess the situation. One team goes to the bar, the other team goes back down below. Crester has not been in the fight. He instead has been down there praying. He's got his cross, and he's just been hanging out by himself. I just thought that was interesting, by the way. He is on the zombie boy killer side, but he wasn't actually participating in the killing. He was just kind of being a poser.
Posers.
Yeah, I tell you. Who's not a poser? Oleg is not a poser. We see Oleg and Jerome. They're back together again. Like, after this fight, it's Oleg who's bandaging up his friend Jerome and, making sure he's okay. We got Daniel sitting with Mara as she grieves. Okay. I wrote down here, he didn't even fight it. It's like he knew it was coming. I didn't know what that meant at first, but of course I remember now. That's what Mara tells Daniel. She's just exclaiming during her grieving that she just can't believe how it went down. The boy just went overboard. They start to hold hands like a comforting thing. And did you notice, like, his left hand, his ring finger was really screwed up? Did you see that?
No.
If they went to hold hands and they zoomed in on his hand and, like, whoops, sorry about that. And where he would normally have a wedding ring, it was all, like, red and scarred looking. And Mara kind of, like, rubbed her finger against it and kind of looked at him. It was kind of a little moment there before Ike interrupted and came over and was like, I need to talk to you. Got a little lover's triangle over here, if we will.
Yeah.
Ike doesn't seem like he's into love right now, though. He's just more confused and is like, look, I found that logbook. It had your name in it. Please tell me what's going on. Ike is, like, really flipping out about this. He shows us that page again. I saw a couple new names on the page this time, also in the Fs. We had Mrs. Susan W. Frenton. We had Lieutenant Thoss W. Fisher. And then we had somebody named Miss Eleanor. So I just happened to notice those names on the list, too. Ike looks pretty pissed. Doesn't believe her. But the Prometheus and the Kerberos, are identical ships. So we're here in the bar area, and we see the bar, and we see the cabinet, and it's exactly like the cabinet that we saw on the Prometheus. So we start hearing a knock at those cabinet doors, and we're immediately reminded of, in the Prometheus, when that banging was happening inside the Prometheus, and then the boy was trapped inside there. Well, they hear the knocking. They're all looking at the cabinet like, what the hell is that? Everybody's concerned. And then we see that bright light coming out of the cracks of the cabinet. The boy appears. He's dry. He looks completely fine. And everybody is like gasping and surprised, except for one guy, Daniel. Looks like he's like, yeah, here we go again, buddy. Looks like he's just, he just kind of looks on at this whole situation. Zombie boy, obviously a zombie at this point. If he wasn't a zombie before, he is now. He runs to embrace Mara. Beautiful. I mean, I loved it. because he knows that Mara cares for him and he accepts her at this point. Like, love me, mommy. We play some Blue Oyster Cult to lead us out. Don't Fear the Reaper. I mean, this song kind of makes sense with the scene. I can see it. I was really hoping for a 90s song here, though. I was really hoping they would do the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s thing, and they would play us like, I was thinking Nirvana's Heart-Shaped Box would be a good song to have here while he's opening that up. Or Man in a Box by like Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains.
I was just trying to go for the 90s. Blue Oyster Cult is great, and it's fine, but just wasn't exactly what I was expecting. But I wasn't expecting the boy to show up either. I think that I'm going to tie this back in now. I'm going to back up to when Crester glanced down at Tove's belly when I told you earlier when she said something like, we got to find the boy, and he looks down at her stomach. I think the boy is Tove's kid because they talk about how he's the child of God and that the light is inside of her stomach, and then like the light comes out of the cabinet and the boy comes forth. It's obvious the boy is some sort of either angel or devil, because it seems to me that this is a purgatory situation, which is why the Daniel machinery confused me. It seems to me that everybody on this boat was in that Prometheus on that logbook. Ike just grabbed the page with the F's on it. He didn't grab the whole book like he should have. We would have seen all the names. We would have seen I think that we would have seen everybody's names, a 1-for-1. They went on the Prometheus. They all died. Not by the boy, but they all died somehow. And they're now in a purgatory situation where they get a second chance. And the little boy is a key to that second chance, either to help guide them or not guide them. Daniel as well. Maybe Daniel's the angel and the boy is the demon, or vice versa. But I really strongly feel that all these characters died on the Prometheus and that they're now in a purgatory on this ship to try to see how they can right and either go to heaven or whatever. Do you have any weird theories like that, Nate? Because I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me.
I can see what you're saying, but I'm almost fully convinced that this is a Matrix situation.
Okay.
I just don't think... I think that the way that everything is presented, that it's obvious that there's a lot of mechanical hints that you're supposed to take.
Mm-hmm.
With like what Daniel does and Sebastian and things like that. And then pretty much being able to take the Prometheus and just blink it out of existence. I don't know. Makes me feel like we're just in a big computer or something.
Now wait.
And this is just...
They didn't blink the Prometheus out of existence. They blinked the Kerberos out of where it was, and they put it back on track. So for all we know, the Prometheus is still there.
Right. Same concept, though. We just move things.
Yep.
Maybe this is just a big game of Battleship.
Yes. And
wouldn't that be something if at the very end all you see is Zombie Boy and Ada playing Battleship?
That would be a lot of fun, actually. It'd bring back a lot of memories.
That would be quite a twist, but it would be a huge kick in the nuts.
Yeah. Oh, especially if Ada was like, okay, B4. Oh, I got your Mara character. She's trapped. And then they would like make up little scenarios as they were playing the little kids game.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's a war hero. He's Jerome. He's going to save the day. You know, that'd be a wonderful ending. I mean, I don't know if it'd be wonderful or not, but storybook.
Definitely, in my opinion, it's some kind of Matrix thing. Maybe it's just a big commercial for the metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg
please.
put this together.
They would not do that to us, man. The people who make this show would not do that to us. They would rather die.
No, I know.
Well, I'm going to move on to our letter portion of the show. Is that cool with you?
Yeah.
Right on. We got a letter this week from Jonathan from the UK. And I mean, I appreciate every single letter that we get, but this letter I appreciate, and I want to spread the word because he sent me in a correction. And that is what I'm looking for, is corrections. I don't want to be incorrect. I want to be factual as much as possible. So I do appreciate corrections. Don't feel bad about doing that because I want to know when I'm wrong. Jonathan writes, I was listening to the recap of episode 3 and just wanted to correct you on one thing. The family in third class with Krester, Tove, and Ada are Danish, not Dutch. Hey, case closed. I've been calling them Dutch this whole time, and he's absolutely correct. They're a Danish family, and every time it shows them, it says, they're speaking in Danish. I even went so far as to Google because I felt really bad. I was like, oh, I hope I didn't piss off anybody who's Dutch or Danish by country in them or whatever you say. But, these countries are friends. They're pretty close by each other. They both start with a D. A lot of people get them mixed up. So I'm sorry I did that, but I appreciate Jonathan letting us know. And if you have any corrections for us or if you want to write into us, please do so. We're at sweetchildoftimepod@gmail.com. The song we chose today is Hive Mind Hypnosis, a very appropriate song for today. It's by a fella named Voidmaster, written by Nate. Another wonderful song, and go check it out on Bandcamp. That's where you can support Nate the best, is on Bandcamp, or follow him on Instagram. Hey, I did your plug for you, Nate. You like that?
Hey, thanks. I can do yours, but if I butcher it, you have to pick it up for me.
Go for it.
All right, you can find Steve and his musical shenanigans at intro.void. Yeah, at intro.void on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And you can find him at introvoid.bandcamp.com. Mm-hmm. Do you have Bandcamp?
Yep.
All right. And then for the podcast information, you can find us at Sweet Child of Time Pod on Instagram.
That's right.
And you can send Steve or myself all the wonderful things that I'm sure you guys have to say, or not so wonderful, because I get a kick out of those. So please send them to @void.master, and I will be happy to respond to you.
Heck yeah. Well, that's another episode for this week. Nate, I wanted to definitely thank you because you've been a big part of the show and you've helped me learn a lot. And you're keeping me on track, and you're teaching me things about recording here, and I'm very appreciative. Thank you, Nate from Voidmaster.
Thank you, Steve, for putting up with me not knowing anything about anything and messaging you before every podcast just about and going, I don't know what's wrong, but something's wrong. and you roll with it, and like I said, I'll figure it out at some point. But no, thank you for having me on here. It's a good time. I look forward to it every week. And my only gripe is that you won't let me watch more than one episode of the show at a time.
I know. I'm so sorry. That's Heather's gripe too.
No, that's all right. It makes it fun. It makes it interesting. I'm not so scatterbrained then. And one more thank you. Thank you to everybody that listens and does take the time to write in. It makes me happy when Steve sends me a message that someone said something nice, or, well, that's really all we've heard so far. So still looking for that hate mail. But no, thanks to everybody that listens and takes time out of their day to to listen to us drone on about 1899.
And we'll keep doing it. Season 2 coming at you. And I got to say thank you to our fans too. Nate did a good job with that. Nate and our listeners, everybody out there, find plenty of water and shade wherever you are. We'll see you next week, 1899. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Oh man, I might cut this, but here's an interesting Hopper story. He got out of the fence yesterday, and he's usually really good about coming back. Usually all we got to do is just, tell him we've got a treat and he'll come back. Yesterday he got out and it was just Heather here, and he did not want to come back. And she tried all the usual tricks and nothing was working. He was set on not coming back. And like the closer she would get to him, he would run off kind of deal. Just being a real asshole, being a real crester, if you want to know. And the way she finally got him is she eventually just said, "Hopper, come get me." And then she turned around and ran the opposite direction. And then Copper, of course, got excited and chased her. And she just ran into the gate. And he chased her in the gate and she gave him a treat. Good way to get your dog back.
My dog was very much if she got out of the fence, she was like, "Oh, it's time to play."
Yeah.
And she used to gallivant all over the place. And she was fast and kind of chunky and little all at the same time. So I used to have to and we had enough space that we never really kept a leash on her, but it was only ever once in a while that she got out of the fence, and we think it's probably because there was something on the other side she wanted to see.
Yeah.
But I used to have to go full Ray Rice on her, like Brian Urlacher, and tackle her.
Oh God.
To tackle this poor pit bull bulldog mix. I'm sure my neighbors saw me get all crouched up and just rock my dog, and I didn't mean to, but if you didn't, she would be out for the whole day until she was like, "All right, it's time to come home, I guess."
Yeah, sounds like our dogs would get along great then.